Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Cronovich, and today we have a special kind of book to read. We have an information book, also known as nonfiction because it's not a pretend book. As you can tell from our cover, our book is going to be about cats and dogs. Our book is one of the National Geographic books that are wonderful to look at because they have a lot of wonderful photographs in them. And so before we start our book today, join me while we look at a couple of special text features that many, but not all, information books have. Here's our title page, Cat versus Dogs, just like a fiction book would have. But then on the inside, most information books will have something called the table of contents. Say that with me. Table of contents. That means a list of what we're going to find out about in the book. So it has the name, Cats versus Dogs, and then it tells us the page that it will start on. So this one will start on page 4. Senses will start on page 10. That's right. Another thing that most information books have, another text feature, is in the back, they'll have something called the glossary. Let's say that together, glossary. A glossary is a dictionary in the back of the book that will tell you what some special words from the book mean. This is a very interesting glossary because in addition to having the words, it also has some photographs to go with it. For example, it tells us that a canine is a group of meat-eating mammals that includes the domestic dog, wolf, jackal, and coyote. So if you're not sure what something means in the book, you can turn to the back of it to find out something more. Another text feature that information books will have is called the index. The glossary and the index are found at the back of the book, and the index will tell us if we wanted to find out about a particular topic or a particular thing, we could turn to, it tells us what pages in the book to turn to. So if it says, for example, if we want to find out about food, we would look from page 14 through page 17. So 14, 15, 16, 17. So those are handy things to know about the text features of an informational book. And now, one of my very favorite informational books, Cats versus Dogs. Who has the scariest relatives? Dogs and cats may seem like opposites. That's because they have very different family trees. Millions of years ago, a fox-like predator prowled the plains hunting for meat. This animal, called Davisi, was an early relative of the canines we see today. And here in our informational books, we'll see labels to go with the pictures, such extinct dog ancestor. And we see pet words. It tells us that a canine is in the dog family. A predator is an animal that hunts other animals. And domesticated means that it was wild once, but now it will live with humans. Wolf, coyote, jackal, dogs. Wolves, coyotes, jackals, and dogs are all related to this ancestor. These animals hunt and live in packs in the wild. And then there are also some funny jokes in this one. What is the only kind of dog you can eat? That's right, a hot dog. Let's learn a little bit about the cat's ancestors. All cats, from the mighty tiger to the common house cat, evolved from a small cat-like creature that lived 12 million years ago. This animal was called Felis atica. Weird but true, big cats like lions and tigers and Jaguars can't purr like little cats can do. And it shows us the puma, the lynx, and the house cat, the tiger, the lion, and the leopard. Also here it will tell us what some of the special words means. So felines are in the cat group, and evolve means to change or develop over a long period of time. Okay, so the answer says the feline family split into two groups. One group was the smaller cats. The other groups were the big cats. Big cats like lions are some of the world's most fearsome predators. In a head-to-head battle, a wolf would be no match for a lion or tiger. So who had the scariest ancestors? The answer is cats had the scariest ancestors. And then there's one more interesting section in the book. And when I read information books, I can read from the front to the back, but I also can just turn to find out something I'm very interested in. So if I was going to look at, for example, my table of contents, I can see, it tells me about the senses, and it tells me about diet, and tells about how they communicate, or communication. I think I'd like to know more about communication, so I can turn to page 18. Again, I don't have to read the whole thing cover to cover. This is a fun one. Who has a tattletale? Both cats and dogs show how they're feeling with their tails. When cats hold their tails up straight, they are happy to see you. A twitchy tail means that a cat is ready to pounce. Cats sweep their tail from side to side when they're excited or aggressive. Happy dogs wag their tails from side to side, around and round like a propeller. When dogs are scared, they tuck their tail between their legs. If dogs are unsure about something, they keep their tails low and wag them close to their bodies. Dogs hold their tails still and upright when they sense danger. A tall tail means that trouble might be coming. So who's the best at telling more tales with their tails? Dogs have more ways of using their tails to communicate than cats do. So the answer is, who has the best tattletale? The winner is dogs. Weird but true. A frightened dog tucks its ears down and hunches its back to appear smaller. And here's our riddle. Why can't a leopard hide? Because it's always spotted. I hope you have fun this week, boys and girls, looking through information books in your house, and be ready to find one and show us at one of our class meetings. Goodbye. Thanks for reading Cats versus Dogs with us. Boys and girls, it's Mrs. Cronovich, and we just got to read a little bit of the informational book on cats and dogs. And this week's special activity is for you to go get a book, an informational book, about something real, maybe a real pet, maybe something like volcanoes, and bring it on over because we're going to look for some special things together. You can tell that this book is going to be about cats and dogs, and it will probably give us real information because we see a photograph on the front. Isn't this a scary looking photo? This book is going to be about deep sea creatures, and we can tell because of the photograph on the front. Most, but not all, informational books will have a photograph. Once you get your book, there's some special hunt things that you can go look for. The first thing we're going to look for is in the front of the book, we're going to look for the table of contents. Sometimes it's just called contents, and that means what's inside. A table of contents is not a table like this one. It means a list of what's going to be in the book. We saw the table of contents in our Cats versus Dogs book. It tells us what will be in it and the page that it will start on. You can see it in the Deep Sea Creatures book too. And again, the table of contents or the contents is always at the front of the book. It might not be the very first page, so in your book, keep turning till you see it, and it will look like a list. And here it just says contents. It tells us what it will be and the page that it will start on. The next thing to look for in your book are features called labels or captions. You can see in our Cats versus Dogs book that we have labels on the photographs: wolf, coyote, jackal. Also in informational books, you can find charts like this one showing us below the ocean, and you can also find captions. Captions are words that are near or on the photographs that will tell us what they're about. So this caption says deep sea hatchfish, and then we also see here in the fast fact that the temperature in the deep ocean is near freezing. You might also see bold words. We know that bold means important, and a bold word will tell you something important in your informational book. So we looked for the table of content. We saw labels on the pictures. We saw captions that told about the photographs or the charts. And now we're going to turn to the back of the book. We're going to look for the glossary. A glossary is a dictionary that tells us about words in the book and what they mean. And the glossary is always in the back of the book. So in our Deep Sea Creatures book, we can see the glossary, and it's at the back of the book. It tells us the word, and then it will tell us what it means. We also saw that in the back of the Cats versus Dogs book, only this glossary was really cool because it told us words like feline, and then it showed us a photograph too to show us what the words mean. So the glossary is found in the back of the book, and also most informational books will have something called an index. See if you can find an index in the back of your informational book, and it will tell us what will be in the book and a page that you can turn to find out more about it. So if I wanted to know about cats purring, it tells me that I could turn to page 8, and also there will be something about it on page 23. So when I turn to that page, so I'm turning back, oh, there it goes. Oh, sure enough, I see on page 23, purr. This sound signals kitty happiness. It means a cat is feeling comfortable and safe. So I didn't need to look through the whole book. I could just find a word in the index and then turn to the page. I hope you had good luck on your hunt. Try it with several information books this week. Look for the table of contents or the contents in the front. Check to see if your pictures or charts have labels or captions that will tell you what they are. And then turn to the back of the book to look for the glossary and the index. Goodbye, boys and girls. Happy reading. Hi, boys and girls. For writing this week, I'd like you to work on writing some facts about whatever animal or informational thing you're reading about. Let's see how to do this with the book Cats versus Dogs. I'm looking through my book. I could check in my table of contents. Let's see, I think I'd like to know a little bit about what cats and dogs like to eat. I think I know because Mom buys dog food or cat food, but what if animals lived in the wild? I wonder what stray cats or stray dogs eat. So I look in my table of contents and it says diet. Diet makes me think about food. So I'm going to turn to page 14 and find out more about it. Here I go, diet. Who serves up supper? House cats are deadly hunters. Sometimes cat owners will open their front door and find a surprise, a dead animal. Cats often bring home gifts to their owners, like birds, lizards, or mice that they've killed. You might prefer to pizza, but your cat is just following its instincts. Dogs might bring home the newspaper, but cats bring home dinner fit for a feline. And I know that a feline is a cat. Says pet words, instinct, behavior that animals are born knowing how to do. So a cat is the winner. It's better at serving up supper. So I could read on a little bit more, but I want to think about a fact that I learned. So I'm going to take my journal and I'm just going to think first, what's something interesting that I learned about cats or dogs right now? Well, I learned that they both like to eat meat, and that was pretty unusual about the cat bringing home supper. I think I'd like to write about that today. So in my home writing journal, I'm going to turn to the next page, and I'd like you to see what my granddaughter Sophie did. She really liked that part in the dog and cat book. And so she wrote down, dogs and cats eat meat. A cat is picky. Cats bring presents like dead mice and lizards and birds. Now what she's going to do, she three-way checked it. Yes, she started her sentence with uppercase letters. Oops, she forgot to put a space here, so when she went back to read it, she went and she erased it and moved it over. Now she's got her spaces. And then she put an end mark. Some of her words she spelled because she just knew them, like she knew how to write and. Some of them she sounded out. A couple she looked in the book for. And some of them aren't book spelling, but they're pretty close, which is okay. She's putting down the sounds that she hears in the word, like presents and dead. That's how she heard it. And now what she needs to do is to draw her picture to go with her fact. Boys and girls, you might be ready to just write one thing that you learned. Sophie was ready to write 3 things. So you can decide how many you're ready for. But usually boys and girls at this part in kindergarten can write down 1 or 2 things, at least 2 things that they've learned about an animal. When you go to draw your picture, don't worry about drawing the picture just exactly like you'd see in the book. If you come in closer, you can see how we can just use shapes to help us. So I go, I think my picture should be mostly about cats, because I talked about a cat being picky and presents that they bring home like dead animals. So I'm going to use shapes to help me draw it. So the cat's head is kind of a circle. It has little triangle ears, doesn't it? Its body is more like a rectangle. So it has a little neck and then it has kind of a ovally rectangle shape. Then I think, how many legs would that animal have? Oh yeah, cats have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course they have little paws at the bottom of their legs. What would be missing? Oh, my cat needs a tail, doesn't it? I can make my tail go straight up like the cat scared, or I could just make it wavy. So I'll give my cat a tail. Now my cat needs a face. There's some eyes for my cat. And it needs a little nose. And of course a cat has whiskers. It uses its whiskers to help it find its way in the dark. I could make my legs a little fatter, couldn't I? So I don't have to be worried about drawing it. I just use I used my shapes to help me, and then I'll add some other things for little details. Oh, I think I'm going to put in the little mouse that it found. Oh yeah, it brought home a little mouse. And so when you go to draw your picture, boys and girls, don't worry about being a perfect illustrator. Use some shapes to help you get going. Goodbye, and I'll be looking forward to hearing what you wrote for your special facts this week.